Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. So, the board have failed to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the transfer market yet again. And like I've mentioned to you, the board has been one of the biggest problems at the football club for a long time now. Main explanation is because they haven't backed any of the managers that we've had since Ferguson's left. Our recruitment policy has been very, very poor, and we've also overpaid for players. A lot of United fans have been demanding the board out for a while. You know, Woodward's been at the club since 2012, and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005. And Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Ollie, even when we was enjoying them really bad periods under him. You know, Woodward assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. And Woodward promised he'd back him in this window, and he did say towards the end of last year that we will back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. But Solskjaer said recently that we are not expecting any signings before this transfer window closes. And I think it said that we are looking to make around 4 signings this year to complete our squad overhaul. And if we are to be genuine title contenders, we do need more signings. And I've already given you the 3 areas where I think Man United need to strengthen up. I think we need a centre-half. We need someone to go alongside Harry Maguire. We need a striker. And we also need a world-class midfielder. This January transfer window is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 5th transfer window at the football club. It's his 4th transfer window as permanent Man United manager. And like I've mentioned, Solskjaer has made good signings as Man United manager, despite our reluctance to back him with transfers. You know, he has spent over £200 million at the club. In the summer of 2019, he brought Daniel James, and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. In January of last year, he brought Bruno Fernandes in and Odi Nagalo in on loan. And in the summer transfer window of last year, he brought Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Pellistri and Amad Diallo Traore. So, I think we'll be looking to make some signings in the summer. Solskjaer did say, though, that fringe players could leave before this transfer window shuts. There is still deadwood at the football club that we need to get rid of. Now, as you all know, Jesse Lingard has been relentlessly linked with a move away from the club. I think he's set to leave Manchester United. I think West Ham are leading the race. He said West Ham are set to sign Jesse Lingard on loan until the end of the season. Sky Sports recently said that West Brom made an inquiry and Newcastle and Sheffield have been interested in him. And other clubs have been in for him, but I think he'll probably stay in the Premier League. ESPN recently said that we will allow Lingard to go, despite Solskjaer saying earlier on this month that he wants him to stay at Man United. Yeah, Lingard has been part of the club for several years, but he lost his place in the team a while ago. And we did trigger that 1-year extension on his contract. Lingard hasn't played in the Premier League since July last year, and this season he's only played twice in the Carabao Cup, and he played in the FA Cup 3rd round. I'm actually surprised that we triggered that 1 year extension on his contract. As you all know, Solskjaer's confirmed that Sergio Romero and Marcus Rojo are free to leave in this January window because he said that their contracts won't be extended. Romero has been at Man United now for over 5 years. He's always been our backup keeper, but he's now our third choice goalkeeper. We got him on a free from San Pandora back in 2015. As for Marcus Rojo, he's never really established himself as a first team regular. He's been at the club since 2014, got him from Sporting Lisbon, sustained quite a few injuries. I think he's got a calf problem at the moment, and last season he was out on loan with Estudiantes. Phil Jones, I also want him to leave the club. There's been narratives of Brandon Williams going out on loan. You know, Brandon Williams is our third choice left back following the arrival of Alex Telles. Williams seldom plays now. But, you know, Williams did play a lot of games last season. That's only because Luke Shaw had a couple of periods out with injury. But yeah, apparently Newcastle want Williams on loan, and Shield Gazette said early on in this window that Newcastle had agreed a deal in principle to get Brandon Williams on a 6-month loan. Southampton want him, like I said, and I think West Ham want him. Before the start of the season, Williams signed a 4-year contract with Man United, and at the start of this season, we're giving that number 33 shirt. And Daniel James, like I mentioned, he's lost his place in the team. And I think, you know, more players could leave Man United in the summer. But anyway, like I said to you, there has been a lot of players on our agenda. Now, you know the news on Declan Rice from West Ham. He says that Man United have got a free run at Declan Rice. Obviously, with Chelsea sacking Frank Lampard recently, Chelsea, you know, no longer in the race for him. Frank Lampard was infuriated, you know, when he missed out on Declan Rice, because actually he was Frank Lampard's #1 target. And this was stemming from ESPN the other week, saying that Man United are set to rival Chelsea for Rice. West Ham are considering lowering their asking price to just £50 million, but West Ham initially value him at £80 million. And I think he's the type of calibre player that Man United need. You know, Rice is still young. He's got a lot of development in him. He's well Premier League proven. He breaks up the play well. He's predominantly a holding midfielder, but he can be deployed as a centre-half. Rice has been at West Ham for several years. He's got a contract at West Ham until 2024. There's also an option to extend his contract for a further 12 months. And before he was at West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in Chelsea's youth setup for several years. I think recently Liverpool have expressed their interest. Now, Dayot Upamecano from RB Leipzig, he's been on our agenda. There was narratives coming out prior to the game against Liverpool in the Cup saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants us to beat Liverpool to the signing of Upamecano. And he said that Man United and Liverpool go head-to-head in the race for Upamecano. He said if we was to get him in this window, he'd probably cost in the £50-odd million range. Sky Sports said not so long ago that Bayern Munich were in advanced talks for Upamecano, because it said Bayern Munich were emerged as the favourites, and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge confirmed Bayern Munich's interest. But Upamecano is available for around £38 million at the end of this season, because that's when his release clause does become active. He's got a contract with Leipzig till 2023. He signed a new contract last year. RB Leipzig paid €10 million for him from Red Bull Salzburg. But if it was to get him in, I think he'd go very, very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. RB Leipzig CEO said earlier on this season that we sell our top performers again if that makes financial sense. Obviously, there was narratives coming out about Kalidou Koulibaly not so long ago, saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reportedly wants to sign him. He's been on Solskjaer's agenda for quite some time. And according to Marca, Solskjaer identified Kalidou Koulibaly as his top defensive target a while ago. And Sky Sports, which is a very reliable source, were saying that Kalidou Koulibaly is keen on a move to Man United. He's regarded as one of the best defenders in the world. But Napoli's owner slapped a £100 million asking price on him and said he won't be leaving this month. Napoli paid just £6.5 million for him from Gent back in 2014. He's been at Napoli for over 6 years now as the player. And City and Liverpool have been in for him. We recently got given a major boost in our pursuit of Jadon Sancho, because according to Sport 1, Borussia Dortmund are relying on Jadon Sancho's sale. He says Dortmund are expecting losses of around £88 million due to the coronavirus pandemic. So reflecting on that, Dortmund will be forced to lower their demands. But yeah, it did say we believe we can get him for less than £100 million this year. Raphael Hoggenstein, who's a German football expert, he came out the other week and said that Jadon Sancho's move to Man United in this window is possible, but it is unlikely. He said negotiations could resume in spring. Earlier on this season, Jadon Sancho made an admission saying that he has enjoyed a difficult season with Dortmund, but he said he was happy to be back among the goals because he has done well recently, and Borussia Dortmund's CEO earlier on this season explained why he was struggling because he was expected to join us last summer. Sancho was our number one priority target last summer, but obviously, Dortmund's valuation was £108 million. We was not willing to meet that valuation and said a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed, the agent fees had been agreed, and even a contract had been agreed. But the fee was the actual stumbling block. Fabrizio Romano's spoken about the Sancho saga a few times, and so too has Bill's Christian Falk. Dortmund made it clear to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Dortmund. Don't forget, earlier on this season, Borussia Dortmund sacked Lucien Favre. Sancho's got a contract with Dortmund till 2023. Dortmund paid just £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017. We know that Solskjaer would love to sign Erling Haaland. I'm not expecting him to leave Dortmund this year, but he could be leaving next year when his £68 million release clause becomes active. Not so long ago, Erling Haaland's father, Alf Hinch Haaland, was talking about his transfer links with Man United. Back in 2019, wanted Erling Haaland. Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with the player to negotiate a move to the club. Solskjaer knows the player well because Solskjaer was the one that gave him his debut at the age of 16, obviously at Molde. But Haaland has been a revelation since his arrival at Dortmund, and Dortmund paid just £17 million for him, and he has got a contract with Dortmund till 2024. Now, a lot of Man United fans believe that we're not going to win the title now, because obviously the board have failed to deliver. Don't get me wrong, despite the loss to Sheffield United, I still believe that we are in this title race. Like I said, if we was to win the Premier League, that would be a remarkable achievement. You know, it would be our first Premier League title since 2013, and it would be our 21st overall. Look, I've said, you know, for the vast majority of this season that I'm very sceptical we'll win the league this season, but we will win another title at some point. Maybe next season, maybe the next couple of seasons. You know, who knows? It's very, very imperative that we get our first trophy on the board under Solskjaer. Solskjaer knows how important it is. And, you know, there's 3 trophies we can pursue this season. There's the League, there's the FA Cup, we're into the 5th round of that now, and there's the Europa League. We haven't won a trophy for just over 4 years, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. And, you know, I don't think Ollie will be under any pressure, you know, despite the loss to Sheffield recently, because that's only 1 game. Obviously, that was our first loss in the Premier League since the beginning of November. Because, you know, we was unbeaten in our last 13 Premier League games. It was obviously Sheffield United's first win at Old Trafford since 1973. So that's 40 odd years, is it? Something like that. You know, that was Sheffield United's second win of this season in the league, and their first Premier League away win of the season. You know, obviously Solskjaer wasn't happy. He was left fuming with Sheffield United's controversial opening goal. Solskjaer insists that David De Gea was fouled by Billy Sharp in the build-up. And Solskjaer blames our sloppy defensive errors for the loss, especially for Sheffield United's second goal. And Solskjaer also blames 2 mistakes from the referee. Obviously, Anthony Martial had a disallowed goal in the game. But we have been very, very poor at home. Is that what, 5 defeats now at Old Trafford in the Premier League this season? But it was a missed opportunity, because if we'd have beat Sheffield United, we'd have been back top of the Premier League, and we'd have been top going into the big game against Arsenal on Saturday. But I certainly expected us to beat Sheffield United. You know, Sheffield United have been abysmal this season. They really, really have been abysmal. And I can assure that Sheffield United are going to get relegated. That win for them yesterday night is probably their biggest win. And it's probably Chris Wilder's biggest win as Sheffield United manager. You know, we did beat Sheffield United last season 3-0 at Old Trafford. It was a hat-trick from Anthony Martial. We beat them in the game at Bramall Lane earlier on this season 3-2. We came from behind in that one. You know, you can say we're surprised that Chris Wilder's still there with how poor Sheffield United have been during the course of this season. But, you know, he's also got to get credit as well, because he got Sheffield United all the way from League One to the Premier League. You know, Wilder's been Sheffield United manager since 2016. And, you know, last season Sheffield United were very, very good. Didn't they finish, 8th or 9th? But yeah, it was a poor performance by Man United. I've just recently given my play ratings for the game. You know, De Gea, he was poor for the first goal. Some Man United fans think that Ole Gunnar one of Solskjaer's biggest problems at the club is De Gea. You know, he's nowhere near as good as he was a few years ago, but he still had some good performances this season. And Wan-Bissaka, poor again. Axel Tuanzebe was caught out for the first goal by Keane Bryan. Obviously, Sheffield United's second goal got deflected off him. That goal was from Burke, by the way. And his positioning was poor, his passing was poor. Axel Tuanzebe seldom plays, but Tuanzebe played because obviously there was no Bay. It's confirmed he's picked up yet another injury. And Bay is good and he's done well since he started playing again, but he's just far too injury prone. Harry Maguire, he was poor, but he did score our equaliser. It was a good header, to be fair. That's his first goal at Old Trafford. You know, Pogba was poor. He started the game brightly in the first 10 minutes. His performances have been good in the last month or so of Paul Pogba's, though. Matic was poor. Fernandes didn't produce the magic. He weren't at his best. You know, Rashford weren't at his best. But, you know, he still showed his work rate at times. And, you know, he showed his skill and he got some runs in behind. Anthony Martial, abysmal again. You know, he's had chances this season, but he just hasn't converted them, Anthony Martial. And a lot of United fans have said, you know, Anthony Martial needs to be dropped. Greenwood, he weren't at his best. You know, Cavani, you know, he got in some good positions when he came on yesterday night. But again, his finishing wasn't to his usual level. You know, Donny van de Beek came on. Again, you know, didn't start for Man United. Luke Shaw obviously came on. I thought Luke Shaw, to be fair, did well when he came on. And I thought Alex Telles tried. But yeah, like I say, I'm still Ollie in at the moment. You know, one defeat doesn't change my perception on him. You know, if we was to be winless in our next 4 or 5 games and the performances in that weren't to be good, then I think Solskjaer would be back under pressure again. By the way, there has been no discussions over getting Solskjaer a new contract at the club. That was confirmed prior to the game. Solskjaer's got just 18 months left on his current contract. And I said, you know, reflect on the progress he's made in recent months. I think, you know, he's on course to earn himself a new contract. Solskjaer's going to be given at least another season at Man United, even if we don't win a trophy this season. This is his second full season at Man United. You know, he's been Man United manager for over 2 years now. He's managed over 100 games as Man United manager in all competitions. But I think we deserve credit for sticking with him because we've had bad periods under him and he could have easily been sacked. He really, really could. You know, he was lucky not to be sacked after we got knocked out of the Champions League. He was lucky not to be sacked after our 6-1 defeat to Tottenham. He was lucky not to be sacked at the first part of last season because we enjoyed our worst start for 30 years in the Premier League at the first part of last season. But like I said, our board have a soft stance on Solskjaer, with him being a club legend. But when we was enjoying them bad periods and disregarding Solskjaer being a club legend, the board had been a lot more ruthless on him. The good news is, you know, Solskjaer outlasts Frank Lampard. You know, because Frank Lampard recently got sacked from Chelsea. A lot of Chelsea fans disagree, you know, with them sacking Lampard. You know, they felt as though they should have given him more time. You know, Lampard got sacked after just 18 months in charge. They are known as a sacking club anyway. They've sacked God knows how many managers. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel's their new manager. Chelsea drew 0-0 with Wolves. That was obviously his first game in charge. But yeah, and some of Solskjaer's selections, you know, really, really concern me. And there's still games where he's been tactically naive, but there's also been games where he has showed tactical flexibility. You know, so I'm still not sure if Solskjaer's a long-term manager for Man United. But, you know, there's positives to take. You know, Solskjaer's got us to the FA Cup 5th round. You know, we've got West Ham, and that's going to be a tough game because they're enjoying a good season. You know, he got us to the EFL Cup semi-final earlier on this season. Lost that to Man City 2-0. You know, like I said earlier on in the video, he's made good signings as Man United manager. We've seen a lot of players leave since he got recommended in. He did well last season in his first full season, got us qualification for the Champions League, got us third, and he guided us to 3 semi-finals. And like I said, we've enjoyed good periods under him. You know, was 13 unbeaten in the league prior to this game against Sheffield. Went on a 19-game unbeaten run in all competitions last season. I think was 14 unbeaten in the Premier League. But when we have been inconsistent, you know, not all the blame stemmed from Ole. You know, obviously certain players have got to take responsibility. The board are accountable as well for some stuff. Because obviously they haven't backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough. And Solskjaer quite a few times has showed his frustration towards the board. But yeah, you know, won't sack him yet. You know, we're not even known as a sacking football club. Despite the fact we've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson left. And that was Moyes, Van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. We spent over £1 billion on players since Ferguson left, and we must have brought around, 36, 37 players in since Ferguson left. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got appointed in as Man United manager, he knew it was a big job, and he knew he had a lot to do. He knew he had to come in and make the right signings. He knew he had to get rid of the deadwood, and to his credit, you know, he has got rid of some of the deadwood, and we're going to get rid of more of the deadwood this year. Obviously, he was inheriting a lot of deadwood. You know, the vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's. He knew he had to come in and obviously get the best out of the players, and in a lot of games he has got the best out of the players, but there's been some games where he hasn't got the best out of the players, and he knew obviously he's got to identify his best 11. I don't think Solskjaer still knows what his best 11 actually is. I know what our best lineup is, you know, with a fully fit squad. Solskjaer's tried a few different formations at Man United. Well, yeah, but I think reflecting now on he's been at the club, there's stuff he has learned and he's gained some managerial experience. Man United is the 3rd club in his managerial career. You know, there's a lot of players that we will keep at Manchester United because he's still good players at the club. Like I've said, you know, we'll keep Rashford, we'll keep Fernandes, we'll keep Cavani, keep Martial for at least this season, we'll keep Greenwood, keep Van der Beek for this present time. You know, Van der Beek is not getting enough opportunities. I expect him to play a hell of a lot more than he has done. And Solskjaer recently promised Donny van der Beek more game time at Man United because he made an admission prior to the game against Liverpool saying that, you know, Van der Beek is unhappy at Man United with his lack of game time. Solskjaer spoke about him earlier on this season. He insists he has a bright future with Man United and tips him to emulate Fred and Lindelof by succeeding at the club. ESPN said earlier on this month that we rejected several loan offers for Donny van der Beek. Because we're blocking him from leaving in this January transfer window. Van der Beek is a good player when he plays. You know, you can put him in like 3 different roles. You can put him as a box-to-box midfielder. You can put him as a number 10, where we actually started him against Liverpool, and you can put him out wide. Most of Donny van der Beek's appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league. We got him in a deal worth £40 million. We paid £35 million up front, and there was £5 million in add-ons. Van der Beek's got a contract with the club till 2025. You know, I think there's a good chance now that Paul Pogba will stay. I'm not going to assure he'll stay because he could still leave in the summer, Paul Pogba. Fred will stay because he has actually improved under Ole. You know, I think McTominay will stay because he's been part of the club for several years and signed a 5-year contract just after the first lockdown. Shaw will stay. Obviously, Tellez will stay. Maguire will stay. Bale will stay for now. Masaka will stay. De Gea is going to stay for now, for at least this season. So there you go. And by the way, you know the news on Amad Traore. Solskjaer promised Man United fans it won't be too long now before we see him, and he did say he could be part of the first team squad in the next few weeks. He's actually taken Jesse Lingard's place in the team. So anyway guys, on my next video I'll be giving you my preview for the Arsenal Man United game. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.